Hello everyone, my name is Manolis Spinorilakis, the founder and producer of Reality Crowd TV, and welcome to Crowdfunding Office Hours Episode 7. We have an amazing show tonight, the largest live audience we've ever had for the show, but before I introduce all of our guests, I really would like to just go through a few ground rules and tell you all about the purpose of our show. So the purpose of Crowdfunding Office Hours is really to provide a venue where actively crowdfunding entrepreneurs can come on and ask questions for help. Individuals who are currently thinking about launching a crowdfunding campaign in the future can get their questions asked, and all of it is done for free because at a minimum you should always make sure that you're an educated entrepreneur before you enlist the help of anyone else whom you might be seeking out. So what's new about the Google Hangout in this scenario is we've actually been able to add links to the Google Hangout. If you're watching the event directly from the actual Google Plus event page, you will see that there's a showcase application that has a bunch of links on the side. The showcase application, you can contact any of the entrepreneurs who are currently on our show. You could contact us. You could see their crowdfunding campaigns, and you'll see all of their business websites as well. So this new application is really becoming a very useful tool to help crowdfunders promote their campaigns. Additionally, we do have a question and answer application. If you followed the Circle of Reality Crowd TV, you'd be able to submit a question at any time during the show to any of the guests, and we do have a lot of guests who have a lot of combined knowledge together. So with that said, everybody, I'm really excited to start the show, and we'll begin with some introductions. We'll start with Max Phillips, the founder and CEO of the Bash application. And Max, please introduce yourself for us.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Max Phillips. Currently in Santa Monica, California, and just started this application, the Bash application, about 4 months ago with the help of headfunder.com.
Great. Pleasure to have you, Max. You know, I've done a little research on your company, and it's a really cool company, so I can't wait till we get into the details really shortly.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Chris Salbudis, the founder and CEO of Philo for Thought. And Chris, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Salbudis. I'm the founder of Philo for Thought, as Manolis said. We are a mentoring group for young professionals, and we basically do blog posting every month, and we also do workshops and annual events. We just help promote the confidence and proper communication for young professionals. So a lot of social media and networking and that sort of thing.
Excellent. And I've personally attended a few of Chris's events. They're top-notch quality events out of New York City. And Chris, it's honestly a pleasure. Flattery will go everywhere with you, right?
A little bit.
Excellent. Very good. And so next we have our next guest, which is Christine Lenches-Hinkle, and Christine is the founder and CEO of Wasteless Living. Is that right, Christine?
That's correct.
Great.
That's correct. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, I founded this company, Wasteless Living, 6 years ago to battle a serious environmental problem, which is solid waste. Increasingly, food waste, and now the new trendy compostable tableware, disposable goods made from plants like sugar and corn, not plastic. Trying to solve that problem because they're still continuing to end up in the landfills. So we set out to educate the public, offer the products and services, closing the loop and actually getting it to composting facilities where they need to end up. So we're thankful to be on your show and looking forward to talking more in detail about it.
Great, Christine. Thank you so much. And you know, I've watched your video, and we'll get a chance to also watch it here as well. And I met Nick LaFond, who is also someone you work very closely with. Really nice guy. So I'm excited to hear more about your project as well.
Great. Thanks.
Great. So our next guest is Diana. Hold on a second. Diana Yazigian with the founder and CEO of Do It For You Consulting. And Diana, thank you very much for joining us. Oh, and you're on mute, Diana. I'm sorry. Yep.
Thanks for having me, Manolis. It's a pleasure to be here. So I founded Do It For Yourself in 2011, just when crowdfunding was starting to merge here in Canada, but it first started out as a social media boutique to accompany businesses in engaging with the crowd online. And meanwhile, invest equity crowdfunding was starting to be the buzzword, and I joined a lobby team where actually I founded a lobby group to have the equity crowdfunding model adopted in Canada. We've since been doing a lot with our regulatory authorities, and in parallel been coaching entrepreneurs across the province to launch their campaign, to get the entire plan up and running in the right timing and engaging their crowds. So that's basically it. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Thank you, Diana, for joining us. And it's really nice to be international with Canada on the line now. So this is really great. Thank you very much. Our next guests are returning champions, so to speak, if we were a competition. We have Chris Labonte and Nolan Thompson, the co-founders of both Head Funder and Head Talker. And Nolan, why don't you start first, and then Chris can introduce himself after.
All right, so I'm Nolan Thompson, the co-founder, Head Funder Incorporated. We're a crowdfunding platform as well as a crowd-related industry that's here to help people really achieve what they want to raise funds for, as well as spread messages and get them viral. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great, thank you for being here. And Chris?
I'm Chris, co-founder of Head Funder, Head Talker. Can you still hear me, Manos?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, we had a little bit of internet connection problems. I love crowdfunding. I love web designing, coding, and reality crowd TV.
No wonder why I like you guys on the show so much. You guys are the best. And then we have with us Zach Wasserman, the founder and CEO, president and owner of Shanghai 30 Entertainment, and hopefully we can have his audio working. Are you there?
Now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right,
Great.
cool.
This is
Sweet. All right. Thank you. Sorry about the delay. Yeah, I own Shanghai 30 Entertainment. It's a music entertainment company, music management, and I started doing it about 5 years ago. And just the music industry isn't really doing too well right now, so we need other ways to get people out to our events. And I'll cut it short. Long story short, about a year and a half ago, I came across an article about this thing called a life straw. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but it makes water 99.999% bacteria free. So I was like, how does nobody know about this? So long story short, we do this thing called shirts for straw. So what it is, you buy a shirt and it buys a life straw. The life straw gets sent to a child in either Africa or Central America. And so we're like almost close to getting our fundraiser together, about to start our crowdfunding campaign. But right now we're partnered with some really great companies in Whole Foods, groceries, apparel. We just picked up a water bottle company this week. So we got a lot of cool things going. I'm really excited to hear what everybody has to offer and really excited to learn. So thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much, Zach. And what you're doing is really an amazing story. It has a huge impact for health worldwide. So, again, thank you for joining us. And, of course, last but not least, we have Jan Gorstenin, the founder and CEO of NetLodge. And, Jan, please introduce yourself and your company.
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm an experienced developer who wants to make an impact on a small but growing company, and I manage most of the front-end work, such as paying the expenses on time and configuring the website for NetLodge.
Great. Thank you, Jan. And NetLodge is actually a great platform. It's in development. It's a marketing platform that will help anyone share their story and seem just like any big corporation. He's creating a beautiful technology, and Jan, we're just so grateful to have you on. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great. So the way we'll start here is for the audience, because we do have a lot of viewers today, I want to just show a brief introductory video that will give everyone kind of a level set, and it'll be a really good conversation starter. So let me play this video that is very good at explaining exactly what crowdfunding is. So I'll share my screen here, and we'll go to the clip. And we'll let this young lady tell us what crowdfunding is.
Crowdfunding is a concept that's been around for a long time. It's the idea of passing around the basket at church in its oldest incarnation, of a large crowd of people being able to contribute small amounts, which is aggregate to the financial goal of any organization or individual. And so when you look at crowdfunding and how it's evolved, the reason it's a buzzword recently is because it's gone online, and so the potential of it has expanded exponentially. Crowdfunding bill is important for small businesses because it creates access to capital. Access to capital that currently is very hard to come by. The basic concept of this will mean for entrepreneurs and investors is that an entrepreneur will post a description, a very thorough description of their business, the finances, the business plan, what they're going to do with the money, the budget, etc. And they're going to be able to share this opportunity with anyone they so choose. Most likely it'll be their customers, friends and family, Twitter followers, people who share an affiliation with them they think might be interested, etc. The investor will then pledge a certain amount of capital that they want to invest. If the fundraising goal is met for how much money that entrepreneur is looking for, then the money will transfer to the entrepreneur. So it's an all or nothing arrangement. What I hope that America will see is that after the SEC rulemaking period is done on the crowdfunding bill, approximately 9 months from now, and platforms can be created and launched that allow for crowdfunding, that entrepreneurs who currently feel like funding is a roadblock to them achieving their success can now have the opportunity. I strongly believe that crowdfunding is not just for high-tech businesses. I, in fact, think that the majority of people are going to be using this in the long run. The majority of businesses are small businesses, and that's who can really take advantage of this.
Excellent. So I always start out the show usually sharing that video in particular because it really does a good job of explaining things. And we happen to actually have on our show someone who's very well versed in the equity crowdfunding, and I'll go to Diana in a moment. But for the audience, many of you may only know the donation and rewards-based crowdfunding of, let's say, Headfunder, Kickstarter, or Indiegogo. You might know those ones. But unfortunately, there's another. Fortunately, there's another side of crowdfunding which involves equity. And so, in the United States and now in Canada, laws were passed to actually say that instead of just a donation in exchange for a reward, they're actually going to soon be providing an investment in exchange for a return on your money. So I'd like to kind of bring in Diana. And Diana, you're very well versed in Canada. I'm sure you've been following the laws closely. How is this coming all about currently? How did equity crowdfunding come to be?
Good question. Short version. First of all, we started talking about crowdfunding in 2012. So the authorities had no idea what it was. We met with them in a close surrounding and explained 4 models to them. And at that time, Australia was booming, UK was booming in the equity crowdfunding model. Time went by, and we continued our lobbying effort, making presentations across the city to explain what the benefits of equity crowdfunding was. And in 2 words, it would mean that the crowd would become a stakeholder inside a company, and the company will become accountable to those stakeholders in a private setting, so not in a public trading setting. Now that in itself sounds pretty simple, but is full of risks. So our Securities Commission, just like in the U.S., outlined the different risks, and we worked with them to see what kind of framework we could build that mitigates, that reduces that risk while still leaving a certain flexibility to those companies that wish to raise funds and solicit shareholders. So long story short, after 2 years of creating awareness and meeting with them and outlining different arguments and whatnot, they came up with a framework which we call the 45108 exemption last June, and open to commentary, just like in the U.S. So we were 100 or so to comment on the framework because there are still some things to tweak, which we consider very important from an entrepreneurial perspective, because that's where I work. And we're waiting for their response to our commentary probably in a couple of months. So we hope that by the end of the year, beginning 2015, we'll have an equity crowdfunding adopted and open to businesses. Now, if I may just say something with regards to the perception that equity crowdfunding has within our ecosystem. you have different schools of thought, if I may. Those that think that equity crowdfunding is not made for the crowd, and those that think that the crowd should get involved even though there is a risk. And these two schools of thought are really weighing against each other today. Of course, you might have guessed, I'm for the more open model that allows the crowd, which is not a VC, not an angel investor, which is you and I, basically, to become stakeholder, because that creates many benefits to society. It creates a pride to become a stakeholder, first of all, something that most of us don't have the pleasure or the privilege of knowing. And it also creates a strong local ecosystem. And thirdly, the companies become accountable to individuals. And that creates a stronger relationship, a stronger bind between the crowd and the company. All that is positive. It's good for economic growth. It creates jobs and whatnot. So today, the model is legal in a very confined setting, i.e. equity crowdfunding, but only for accredited investors, those VCs, angels, and earning a certain level, a certain revenue per year. And that, to me, is not equity crowdfunding, unfortunately, because it excludes the crowd.
Absolutely.
So we're working on that. So if you want to have more insight onto what we're doing, everything is updated on our blog. Our interviews with journalists, with the media, because the media is really getting involved too. You can check out investcrowdfund.wordpress.com.
Wonderful. And also for those viewers as well, I have the Showcase app here, and I have the link showing right here where you could click on the actual middle link here right above the Bash application. That's where you can get more information on Diana. So thank you, Diana, for that great that great overview. And so, you know, the U.S., the Canada, Australia, the U.K., and all of Europe, crowdfunding is a global movement. And so, you know, it's great that we had Diana's perspective on the Canada side of things and a really good explanation of where the global landscape is going. Because we're still on the topic of equity crowdfunding, I want to open it up for questions first to see if anyone had any specific questions on our panel related to equity crowdfunding. So is there anyone on our panel who is curious or has a question about the equity or debt crowdfunding?
Yeah. Are the rules in Canada different from other countries like the UK, Australia, and US in relation to equity crowdfunding?
That's a good question. Yeah, yes, they are. First of all, there's the thresholds, the caps that we're defining as we speak. They're a little lower here. We have a higher, lesser tolerance to risk. So our framework has established low levels of investments. For example, there's a startup exemption. Inside, you could only raise up to $150,000 per 6 months. Multiplied by 2, that would be $300,000 per year. That is very low for a startup, especially in the technology industry. So we're sort of working to push that up a little bit. Plus, the individual investor could only put in $1,500, which is, for some, not a lot of money. For others, perhaps quite a bit. So we're trying to still largen the scope so that we could involve the most of the crowd, right? And for larger companies, the thresholds are still not very high, and we're trying to raise them to $5 million or not even any limits. That would be the best scenario. So we can involve high tech, but mining industry, retail, I mean, multiple sectors. Right now, the way it's crafted, we're limiting the scope to certain sectors that already have a certain cash flow, you know. So that's not really optimizing the success of the model. Plus, there are other issues. I'll send you the links if you want that I've outlined. And one of them is that if you want to have a certain number of shareholders within the framework that they suggest, 2,500 for a normal company, that would per investor, that is not a lot. You would need 600 shareholders to raise 1.5 million. That's crazy. So we're really working to broaden the scope to make sure that the model lifts and we have a lot of people coming up and wanting to use it.
Great. Excellent. So great question, Nolan. Thank you for that. So just to kind of wrap up a little equity side too, just because we may have a lot of our audience in the U.S. So the equity crowdfunding is as a result of the 2012 Jobs Act. So anyone who's interested in learning more about it, they should write down the 2012 Jobs Act, the specific provisions in that piece of government legislation. You should write down the following 3 provisions and ask an attorney friend of yours, specifically a securities attorney if you have one. Write down Title II, Equity Crowdfunding, which allows for the general solicitation of accredited investors. Write down Title III, Equity Crowdfunding, which allows for the general solicitation of unaccredited investors. That has not been finalized yet, so it's not law at the moment. So do not go out generally soliciting unaccredited investors. And then the last piece is Title IV, Equity Crowdfunding, which is Regulation A of the Jobs Act. So there's a lot of amazing things happening, and in the future we'll have a show dedicated solely to equity, especially when additional rules are finalized. But at present, the current way that equity crowdfunding is working is accredited investors, those individuals who make $200,000 a year or are worth $1 million in net worth, are currently investing in private companies that are listing their companies on equity platforms. The one thing I always want to clarify is, if you're not accredited, that means you can't invest in these companies. But as a startup business, you don't have to be wealthy to bring your startup to these crowdfunding platforms. So you could take money in from wealthy people, you just can't invest in other startups. So I just want to clarify that because that's important. All startups should be considering this Title II equity crowdfunding if you have a business plan that is solid and scalable. So with that said, I'd like to kind of go to our first active campaign. Christine Lenches-Hinkle from Wasteless Energy. And Christine, I'm actually going to play your video so that everyone kind of knows what your project is all about. Is that all right with you, Christine? Christine, are you still there?
He's on mute, I think.
I think you're on mute. All right, so we'll play the video. I'm pretty sure she's still there. So let me just click on this, and I will share my screen for everyone to see so we can understand Christine's project. Here we go. And here we are.
My name is Christine Lenches-Hinkle, and I am the founder and president of Wasteless Living. We are an environmental services company. We specialize in solid waste and organics recovery and composting. And we feel we've come up with a sustainable model for handling all of the organics from scraps. We are here fundraising through this platform to get more support financially and from the community to see our bigger vision happen, which is to build commercial composting facilities in urban centers. There's a huge impact in our landfills. People think that you send food waste to landfills and green waste is going to naturally biodegrade and disappear. And in fact, that is farthest from the truth. Anything being sent to landfills is actually going to be fuel for the fire. And the fire coming out of landfills is methane and toxic wastewater. There's a plethora of benefits of getting connected back with the soil. It's a teaching opportunity for my kids. It demonstrates nature in the most organic way. As mothers, you want to teach your kids about being responsible. And if we're not being responsible to our environment and our resources that we rely on for our survival and well-being, then it's irresponsible. And that's not the kind of world I would like my daughters to grow up in. I know as an individual that I can't do this alone. And there are others who feel and think and think. And I trust that people want to be faithful. And we are at a point where we're building a business around doing the right thing. Here is a great opportunity for people to engage and to actually make a difference, on a daily basis. Not just for themselves, but for our children's future. So we're looking for, the early adopters. We're looking for those people who, are living and doing the right thing. So where are we at? The state has made available $15 million for the development of more composite facilities in California. We are pursuing grant funding to build out our own facility locally because we're forced to haul our food scraps over 80 miles round trip, and it's the closest permanent facility to our community. The financial cost and environmental damage it causes is too great. We can do better. We must do better. If we're successful in securing state funding, we can put in place a composite facility using the most recent technology available. And we can be able to divert and compost over 1 ton a day of food scraps from 12 areas. The success of our project locally will allow us to expand into other cities, your city. And we can do even more for you to waste less and live more. In order to get the grant, you need to sign up 500 people in and around the Pasadena area for our residential composting services. Check out our pledge below and sign up now. No matter where you live, your smallest contribution will ensure a greener future for our children.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was great. Thank you for sharing that, Christine.
I do apologize. I temporarily had a disconnection, so I wasn't ignoring anyone.
Oh, no worries at all. I really loved your video, and it's a really great company. And so I guess tell us a little bit about like what your struggles are currently, because you're on the home stretch here, and let me pull the actual campaign up as well, so that we could show the audience kind of what it's all about, where you are, and then we could see how we can help you there. So I'm going to pull this up again. This time I won't play the video though. Give me one moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so yeah, so you have about 38 hours left, so it's really crunch time here. And just kind of explain to us what's been your successes, what's been your struggles, and what questions do you have?
Okay. Well, it's a loaded question. We put in a lot of teamwork in pulling off some of the videos, just the copy, the figuring out all the perks, what would work, what wouldn't, or at least what we thought would work. We're not nearly where we need to be. Initially, we had launched a campaign with an amount, a goal of $100,000, which we knew was fairly aggressive, but given the intent of what we needed to use the money for, and with the looming grant application due, we wanted to demonstrate that this was such a great project that people were going to immediately attach to and donate to, that we thought perhaps we could reach that 100,000. After the initial 3-week campaign, we hadn't really made any movement on it. We decided to extend it for a couple of weeks more to see, and to lower the goal amount to see if maybe that was the crux of why we weren't getting much pledges. So we knocked it down to 25,000, thinking that was more doable, more reasonable, and started looking at other possibilities or opportunities to help market it. And you can see, we're still at, 5% of our goal, and not really had made any significant or notable progress. But still, we're very grateful for what pledges we did receive. Most of those being, probably 99% of them were from existing customers, people that we knew, family, friends. that we're reaching out to and asking to share the campaign, but very, very minimal new pledges. So we've been scratching our heads, trying to figure out, why that is the case. We pulled out all the stops. We created a different video after having outreach to those who had pledged to say, what did you think of the video? Was it effective? Or what should we do differently? How should our messaging be different? And we got some good feedback, and we jumped on it, created a new video, posted that, and again, tried to do our best to outreach to people and ask them to share. Not seeing too much of a boost with that. So we're kind of, just in this conundrum of we've got like 2 days left. We know that we have a pretty solid project, but some of the things that are coming out of our discussions and conversations is clearly our model, just from the get-go, is very localized. So it's not yet a nationwide service or even statewide service. The products we sell, yes, can be sold nationally, internationally, but our business model is structured such that it's a sustainable business model. We want to start locally, figure out all of the the ins and outs to be able to replicate the model in other communities, build out the composting operations, and let it kind of expand that way. But we may very well be too ahead of ourselves in using this platform as we're kind of in a proof of concept stage with the business model itself. So we tested this platform out to see where it would go. That's what we've come up with so far. So that's our biggest challenge, is that we haven't met nearly what we need to meet with our goal, having modified it significantly.
Sure, and it goes to show too that a lot of people, and you're using the platform Indiegogo. It goes to show that a lot of times the success of a project initially, a platform per se doesn't have a big impact on the project unless it hits certain milestones early on in the actual campaign. Because I know a lot of people have a misconception that, if I just go on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, it gets so much website traffic that that's all I need to get done. And unfortunately, the traffic alone from those sites don't do much unless you're on the front page of their websites. But you obviously have put a lot of effort in there. There's a lot of good information on your profile. There's a lot of videos, so you've done a tremendous amount of work. I actually want to open it up to a few of our panelists here. Chris and Nolan, do you have any questions for Christina, or do you have any maybe tips that you can give her? Like, I know she has about 36 hours left, but based on what you saw, is there anything that you'd like to ask Christine?
Yeah. Do you have any examples of projects that you've done, like interacting with the community and putting your project to use to show people exactly what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we do. We're very proud of the school program that we've designed, and we actually have tons of metrics, so data, to show that our method of managing the organics, the food scraps, and the collection of the tableware waste has educational value. So we've for the last 4 or 5 years now, we've been servicing a school. We've basically converted them into a zero-waste campus, and we've integrated some curriculum into their academics that dovetails into the management plan. We've helped them reduce their waste by, probably about from 33% down to 17%. Their waste diversion totals, are up into the 88% rate. In real time, we can give numbers on what they've recovered and diverted from the landfill. So, yeah, we have some already proven concepts on the program side of things. We also have our numbers from every single customer we've serviced in terms of, we sell the product and we support people are putting on parties, and we log everything. So we've got a lot of data to prove that the service model works. But I guess we haven't leveraged that as much as I guess we need to.
Okay, because I just think what you guys are doing is awesome, especially since it's going green and it's helping the environment. Were the press and local press accepting to when you would pitch them about your company and what you guys were trying to do?
When we've reached out to them in the very beginning, yeah, they were all over us. We had multiple articles written up in the different local newspapers. We hadn't gotten any write-ups in the LA Times, which is where we're at. Our PR could be better efforts, and there's a lot of different levels to this business. We're definitely on the ground providing a product and service that's people get and they want to buy, but we're also at a much higher level of planning, infrastructure. So with my background as an environmental planner, that's where I was seeing the lack of infrastructure and how broken the waste management industry and system was, and we lacked composting infrastructure. So I've spent a lot of time just working at the regulatory side of things and letting more of the marketing and services just kind of work itself. So we are still servicing people on the ground through our parties and our school services, but now it's at the level of we've got to raise this capital to build the facilities, because we've gotten such a community buy-in. We've done our outreach, we've done our networking, and we've gained community support for this, so that we won't get the not in my backyard kind of attitude when we go to site one of these facilities in the city.
Can I intervene for a sec?
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, Christine, love your campaign. What I hear from what you're speaking is that you know your stuff really well, but you're overwhelmed because there's a lot of work to do, and that's perfectly normal. A campaign is like running a business, basically. And when you say that, I spent a lot of time in the regulatory part, and hence the marketing aspect sort of took aside. I guess that's one of the lessons that most entrepreneurs learn, is when as you go, you should take notes of what you think might have been more focus, and then for next time, because that's an experience on its own. If you do decide to launch a second campaign, you'll know how to better prepare yourself. Right. And the last two tips I can give you, as you were talking, of course I did what my social media hat would do, is I went around and looked for your campaign on other platforms, right?
Yes.
And since you do have your family and friends already into the campaign, the challenge is to raise the 80 or 70% of the crowd, which is usually the thumb rule. And they would probably promote it on their own networks, but that is not enough. So Google Plus is one of them. Twitter has to be intense in promoting your campaign, not in spamming, just in promoting and updating, giving new items that might complement your story on those complementary platforms. That needs to be updated all the time, just to keep your campaign alive. And then that's the first thing. And the second, that takes time and resources, I agree, but it's part of the deal, so to speak. And then the second thing would be the perks themselves. I don't know if you've tested your perks with your family and friends before launching the campaign.
Well, all of the perks are currently all the products and services that we've been providing for the last couple of years.
Okay, so they're in tune with customer needs. But from the outset, like I breezed through it, we're on the web, we don't have lots of time, we breeze through the value perceived of the perks, and if it makes sense, we'll read. If it doesn't make sense from the outset, we'll switch to another screen. So when I read the $20 and then the $20, I didn't see the justification for the dollar value difference. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Social media is more expensive than the e-guide. I don't, you know, from the customer perspective, question mark. So when there's a question mark, there's always a risk that you're losing someone in the process.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know,
I had not even thought about that.
Hey, that's what I'm there for. Use the crowd to survey them during the campaign. I mean, be transparent, guys. Does that make sense to you? Does the perk structure I have online, does that make sense to you? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. You know.
Yeah. No. Very good tips, Diana. I really think that was very valuable. And one thing too, and I'll ask you this, Christine, because I think I see where Nolan's question came from. I don't think we saw anyone else other than you in your video. So I thought when he asked you the question, what have you done anything in the community? I think he was hoping that maybe if you do a relaunch, and I think you should, the video should also include, you know, more people that you've actually served in the community to show that, you know, not only am I passionate about this, but look what I did. Look what these people say about what we're doing for them. You know, that I think would be also very powerful for your video.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. We tried to, yeah, the second video that's up on the site, we included the team members to show that, hey, there's more people, not just me, behind this. But I think the direction I'm getting is to show evidence of our services and products more, like real.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, I think people want to see it to believe it in a lot of cases. But you know, not to say that you're not a beautiful person. I love watching you, but you know, just in general, as the campaign goes on, you want to make sure you bring everyone in who's getting affected by the business.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Because this is a product and service that is kind of out there. It's novel. It's new. You know, how does this service work is what I always get, and you know, describing it not always hits the mark either. So a visual of it might, yeah, I can see how that could be more effective.
Perfect. So actually, so that's great. So because we're talking about rewards, and we're going to get to our other projects as well, but Christine Salbutis, I know that you have a lot of questions because you're in a situation where you're looking to prepare for a potential crowdfunding campaign, and you have a lot of questions. What do you have any questions you'd like to ask now, Christine?
Well, the first I want to thank Diane because she's giving all this great advice. So thank you for doing that. But the other thing is, I'm not sure which crowdfunding platform is the best one for me to start with because it's basically not a creative project that I'm working on. It's more of a community service. So I want something that's specifically for community services.
Can you actually give us a little background on what your company Fuel for Thought does, so that we can give you a better you know, recommendation?
Sure. So I basically do free monthly posts, and I also do a lot of talks and advisory emails, connections, introductions, and everything is basically very low cost or free. Once a month I do have an event where I charge a very minimal fee because I have it outside in a restaurant or at a location, so I have to pay the venue. But it really, I've been working even at those events, and I don't have really the structure set up so that it's financially, not that it's financially profitable, but that it's financially self-sustaining, because there are back-end costs, administrative costs, that I have to try and cover at the same time.
Sure, and so you would be raising, how much money are you planning to raise? Like, how much does your business need, and what would you use those monies for? I know you said administrative, but can you, like, do you have the number as far as what you'd like to raise in order to have it be self-sustaining?
When I looked at the numbers, because I crunched numbers a few weeks ago, I was trying to figure it out. I looked and I saw actually pull something off with about $5,000 or $6,000 for the year. So I could actually do a lot of, I don't want to say I could do a lot of damage, but I could do a lot of good with $6,000, you know. And right now I'm spending a lot of time canvassing just the old-fashioned way and going from one place to another to sponsor a specific event. I would save a lot of time and money doing a crowdfunder, I think, than just going to canvas from one event to another, like for specific events.
Sure. And so, okay, so you have events that you produce, you have networking that you have workshops that you host. So to me, although you're providing a service, those to me would be best conducive to a rewards campaign, because you could simply plan out your year in advance and give that as the rewards. And since we do have a crowdfunding platform on the show, I'd like to have Chris kind of chime in and say, Chris, you know, based on what Christine Salbutis said, you know, what platform would you recommend?
Oh.
Right here. This one, right here.
I'm biased.
Yeah. But so like based on what she's trying to do, have you seen other people do similar type of campaigns where they're kind of offering their services if they're a service-oriented business? Have you seen examples of that, and can you kind of elaborate on that?
A little bit, not as much as we'd want to. It would kind of be a new thing for us, but I definitely think it's totally possible. I have seen like a few people sell services, like somebody like sold tweets in a crowdfunding campaign on our site. So like you could sell any type of service. As long as you have like existing customers, that would be a great start, and then you could branch out more into the crowd and finding new customers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's mostly about preparation if you are looking to do a campaign. And since you said that you do have a strong network, right?
Yes. Something cut off.
So,
I'm sorry, what was that?
So you said you had a strong network, Christine?
Yeah, I have actually a very strong online network. We're approximately 9,000 viewers right now. But to actually have the live monthly events here in New York, where I'm actually able to pay for a venue and have people come over for a workshop, like traditional workshop style thing, I don't have funds for that. Or if I want to do my annual conference, I have to sit and canvas for 6 months in advance for that one event. So it takes a lot of time for that one event. And I would rather do the crowdfunder and actually have a sponsor set in advance so that all I really have to focus on is the event itself rather than, canvassing the whole year for the one event.
Yeah, and I would suggest treating your crowdfunding campaign like an event that you were putting to host. Reach out to your 9,000 people that are viewing and enjoy your events and get them organized before you launch your crowdfunding campaign. And that way, when you do decide to launch, you have a strong group of people behind to, like Manola said, reach your goal, hit those milestones fast and quick, and show people that you have something that the people want.
Absolutely, yeah. And Christine, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I've been to your events, and they're very well orchestrated and planned. I mean, literally, you could even prepare a crowdfunding campaign and even have a live launch event and coincide it with one of your events that you host anyways, where at the end of it, everyone, you suddenly say, I've arrived, it's time to support the crowdfunding campaign. A lot of things are actually, a lot of people are starting to do that. And if it's planned properly in advance, and you have enough like computers on standby that are ready to collect the donations right at the event, or you could even host an event where they have to donate at least something to even get in the door. Your admission to get into the event is donate to get in, so you do it right from the start. I'm kind of experimenting with that, planning for our own crowdfunding campaign when Reality Crowd TV does ours, but that would be a way to ensure that anyone who enters in the door has already donated to your event. So that'd be really powerful, I think.
I think it's really...
Oh, sorry.
It's an interesting idea. It's a challenging one, I have to say, because you have to be even more creative because you don't have a tangible product, right? Here's an idea in terms of perks. Since you offer services and you're valued for your expertise, how about offering a half-hour or 15-minute free consult for a certain perk level?
I already offer most of my stuff for free.
I'm sorry?
I already offer most of the networking, etc. is already free.
You have to start making some money.
I know, that's what my mother says.
I mean, you can only go so far, graciously offering your time and stuff. But if you're known for your expertise, go out there and make it known, and the perks will just validate that expertise. The more people you will adhere to those perks, you'll really create your e-reputation that way. Anyway, it's a good idea though. It's a very good idea.
And Chris,
I think an event would be great. I think that'd probably be the best way to do it. Like Manola said, just have computers ready to go, and just get them to donate right then and there to your campaign.
So I have a follow-up question to that, because I actually have an event that I've set up for September 27th, but as a traditional fundraiser, not as a crowdfunder. So I'm not sure how to maybe integrate that.
Yeah, and then you could even start charging for your events. You could run these crowdfunding campaigns and give the event admission as a perk, and have different types of perks, for the event. Because we have had some event campaigns before that did great, selling tickets and stuff like that. So
yeah, Chris as well. Just so you know, you currently use Eventbrite. I mean, maybe you could even start doing admission for crowdfunding. You never know. Maybe instead of people using the Eventbrite and paying, you could say, listen, part of the perks is this. Please share this, and please come, purchase your ticket directly from the crowdfunding campaign. Does that make sense?
It kind of makes sense. I don't want to take up too much of the whole crowd's time, but I might have to email you a couple of questions after.
Sure. Sounds good. Sounds good. We'll give everyone each other's contact information on the show, so we'll definitely give you a chance to network as well. Let me just check. We have one comment on our Q&A app. My good friend John Jerkiewicz, he says, this is amazing, Manolis. You and your team have done an amazing job on this. John, thank you for the compliment. That was my own pat on the back. I had to give myself a pat on the back there. That was the only comments thus far. But anyone else who has a question or a comment, we have about 15 viewers watching live right now outside of the show. So anyone who has a comment, if you're watching on YouTube, click the icon that brings you into the Google Hangout event page, follow the Circle of Reality Crowd TV, and you can ask a question in the Q&A app. So all the questions are here for you guys to answer. Let's actually go to Zach Wasserman for a moment. And Zach, I'd like you to kind of go a little bit into more detail. Can you show us again?
Yeah.
Explain kind of what your project is one more time for us.
Yeah, for sure. All right. This is a live straw. Okay. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I started my own entertainment management company where I manage artists, bands, and musicians and athletes. And I manage a lot of. I live in LA, Los Angeles, and I live about north of LA, 40 miles in Ventura County. And through working out here, I have a pretty good hold on the local artists and local venues and stuff and bands with my company and other projects. So we're trying to get a foothold into LA and how to expand out to across the nation with our artists and our music. As you guys know, the music industry is it's not lucrative anymore. There's no money in it. All the music you hear on the radio is all the same 10 songs. So it's really hard to break into that foothold of the industry. So we're trying to think of ways to get people out to our events that wouldn't normally come out to our events, and we started selling these wristbands right here, if you guys can see.
Yes.
that's there were $3, and it went back to cancer research. We sold like 300 of them, and it got some people out to our events. And around the same time we started selling those, I came across this guy on an article on Yahoo, and I read about it, and I was just like, how does nobody know about the life straw? It seriously makes water 99.999% bacteria free. And it was just like in the back of my head for about, I don't know, a couple weeks, and then I was like, how can I kind of implement the same thing we're doing for the wristbands as the life straw? And so long story short, I used to work at Whole Foods, and I was on as a cashier, and I remember the day, and I was like, it just like hit me like a light bulb. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell T-shirts and for these guys. So fast forward to about 2 years now. Whole Foods is now one of our partners. We have like I said, we're in LA. Groceries Apparel, which is a LA-based T-shirt company. They make all organic Hampton cotton T-shirts. They're gonna supply our T-shirts. And then we just locked down a water bottle company, a reusable water bottle company this past week called Echo Vessel. And we're just getting a lot of support for it, which is really cool. And right now, currently, we're doing on our website and all our social media, we're doing 100 days of how to save water. And it's just like different tips and like fun like facts on like how to save water, and it's kind of crazy right now because I'm sure as you guys know, the drought is just like a huge thing in the news right now, and I'm like, for me it's like it's bad, but it's be better timing for us, so we're really excited to that's the news, and like at the same time we're doing our 100 days of how to save water. And so at the end of the 100 days we're going to launch our Indiegogo campaign. And this probably going to do like a music festival fundraiser type thing too at the end of the 100 days to also launch the Indiegogo campaign with our artists and bands.
I'm going to bring up your actual website too, because I want to actually make sure we see this what you're doing, because you actually are pre-planning. This is over 3 months in the making, right?
Yeah, if you pull up my website right now, you'll see like the different tips we have on how to save water. My dog is always featured in it, so he's always in it. But yeah, you pull it up. I think.
Do you guys see my screen here?
Yeah.
Okay, so should I just play the video?
Yeah, you can play one of them. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll play this one. 1 second.
Okay, to give insurance water saving tip. Okay, 40 cents. Use your water meter and check with it. Jot down your water meter before and after a 2-hour period. Your meter should read the same. And remember, help us get a life straw to a child in need of clean drinking water. Thanks for following us at Search for Straws. Have a great day. Get to give insurance.
Cool. So this is oh, sorry. Hold on a second. It kept playing on repeat, and it was in my earphone. Sorry.
No worries.
Cool. So you do these like nice little short and sweet video tips on how to save water, and you continually get the word out about the life straw.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's actually getting us a lot of like support lately, and which is pretty cool. I think we're on day 50 right now, and I've been a little bit behind on the post, so sorry. But yeah, we're just like right on the edge of like launching everything, and I keep like holding back because like I've wanted to do crowdfunding since like I came up with the idea, and I just like been researching a lot of different crowdfunding campaigns, like what makes them successful, like what makes them bad, and I've seen some bad ones, I've seen some good ones, and I'm trying to like mix them together and find like that happy medium and like how to make this like really good campaign. And I came across you guys on Twitter, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank God. I was like, thank you. So yeah, it's just kind of where we're at right now, and yeah, that's kind of where it's at right now.
Cool. And have you guys like actually chosen like which platform you're going to use? Like have you done anything specific as far as preparing for the actual launch, aside from the campaign to inform people about what's going on? Like, have you selected anything yet, or you're still working?
No, we're doing Indiegogo. I actually contacted Kickstarter, and Kickstarter doesn't do nonprofits or like causes, and so we have to use Indiegogo. And something I forgot to mention, and I apologize, is that when I first started it, one of the things I was really worried about was the longevity of Shirts for Straws, because you guys know Tom's Shoes has the same thing, the same model, like the one-for-one business model. Now they're selling sunglasses, and now they're even in their coffee. So it's just like they're like got kind of out of scope. So that's one thing I was worried about. So Shirts for Straws is actually the initial campaign of our nonprofit called Get to Give. And what Get to Give will be, it's like a clothing line based on the same thing. It's all geared towards like humanitarian problems. So with all, and like potentially and eventually, when we have all these brands like that we're working with, like right now we have 5 different brands, and then we just do like another clothing line, another like clothing product like a beanie or something. We'll get other brands that we're working with, and potentially we want to get them all in a room and work and be like, okay, I'm working with all you guys. How can we work on a bigger project? How we can get the word out there bigger and faster in a better way? So that's kind of like the grand scope of everything.
Wow, great. So I'm just going to ask you a question, which is going to have you ask a question, and then I'm going to open it up to everyone else because I've been talking for too long. So my question is, what question do you have, now that you're in the pre-launch phase of your campaign, do you have a specific question that you would like our panel members today to help you answer?
Yeah, I mean, I have like a list, so you guys, I do have a list, but
sure.
Hold on, let me pull it up, because I'm not going to read all of them, but there's some that definitely stick out. And one is like, how do you create that like initial like vibe, that initial push when it like the day it launches? Like, what's a good way to launch it, I guess? You know, because right now we have like behind the scenes we've been contacting like a lot of media outlets locally and like across the nation, and right now we have like 3 to 4 articles coming out the day of the launch of the campaign. So like, other than that, like I'm just trying to like, you know, we want to create like a thing that's bigger than like what we are, because that's what it is, you know. And like I'm just trying to think, how can we launch this in a bigger, better way?
Sure. No, I'll go to Headfunder because I saw Nolan lift his hand up. Nolan, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think it's awesome that what you're trying to do, and especially since you are in the pre-launch phase, you're planning out 3 months ahead. My suggestion, which would help you out a lot, which Phone Blocks did, is you should do a Crowdspeaking campaign, basically where you can get people to join your campaign, to donate their social reach, and on the day that you guys launch, all of your supporters would blast that message out on their social media accounts. And it's a great way, since you are having a long pre-process that you're going through right now, you could definitely get a lot of supporters behind it, especially since the movement that you're trying to do is so positive. You could probably have an awesome launch day, especially with the articles coming out. Combine that with the Crowdspeaking campaign, and I think that would be a great way to start it off.
And that's just like contacting like friends and family through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram stuff, or like.
Actually, guys, sorry to interrupt. Do you guys see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this website is actually Chris and Nolan developed this website. Head Talker. Head Talker is actually a crowd speaking platform where it makes it really easy to get all of your social media friends and family and people you don't even know to help you. So actually, this is a good way to actually do a demo of this your platform here, so that you guys can see how it works. So you go to headtalker.com, click sign in, connect with your Facebook,
or Twitter, or LinkedIn, or Tumblr.
Yes.
Whichever is your favorite social media account.
Correct. So immediately, it doesn't ask you for anything else. Like, you don't have to like confirm anything. At least I don't think so. You're basically
the first time.
Oh, the first time. Okay, cool. So then, once you do that, you just click Start. I want to start a crowd speaking campaign. So you give it a title. Manolis is the man. And then you type your message. The life campaign is launching. Please donate, like, and share. Then you insert the link right here. The message link would be the link to your crowdfunding campaign. So you would just do like whatever that is. You would link it to a workable link. But the key part is you have to use a URL shortening service. So you could use the google.gl or you could use Hootsuite, but you have to shorten the URL because it only allows you for a certain amount.
That's okay.
You actually click here
to be under 140 characters for Twitter purposes.
Correct.
That's why you have to shorten the URL.
Correct. So you would click here to upload a photo. Let's just put this one in.
How long have you launched Headfunder? How long has it been?
Headfunder's been around for 3 months, and Head Talker's like less than 2 weeks.
Less than 3. So that would be too early if you have some metrics to share, or
For Head Talker or Headfunder?
what's the difference?
Headfunder is crowdfunding, and Head Talker is crowdspeaking.
For a Head Talker, then.
No, not yet. We've only had a few campaigns because it's only been less than 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
But
So tell me you're looking for a new campaign?
say that again?
You're looking for a new campaign? I'll give you my stuff.
Yeah, we're always looking for new campaigns on both sites.
Yeah, Christine actually did one for her project for the Indiegogo campaign. Unfortunately, we weren't able to connect early enough to help her out in the beginning of her campaign. But I spoke with Nick, and we were able to organize it. Their message went off, and hopefully a lot of people saw it. But I feel that if we did a Crowdspeaking campaign that actually was a couple months in preparation, we could get hundreds of people behind it to really help amplify that message.
Absolutely.
The actual start of the actual, not Kickstarter, of the actual crowdfunder, do you actually need to prepare?
I would, Chris, I would recommend that if you don't have a large established network, and if you don't have a large social network, I always recommend 3 to 6 months of pre-planning before you ever launch a campaign. Absolutely.
And if I can just add one last tip, complementary to Head Talker, sorry. The best is to show that the fundings are already there, at least 10%. So that's what I advise to my entrepreneurs is try to find your friends, get their buy-in from the beginning before spreading like crazy. Mm-hmm. Like show that there's some money in the bank. It's the empty restaurant syndrome, when you pass by a restaurant that's full versus empty, which one are you going to go to? Well,
can I say something about that, Diana?
Yeah, sure.
What Chris had stressed to me so much in the beginning leading up to this campaign was this almost like rule of 30%, that you should have almost 30% of your funds already met from friends and family and maybe a larger initial investor if you have that. And if you didn't have that, maybe even bringing down the amount of your campaign that you're going for to make that a more realistic goal. And it's kind of wrapping around this whole green bar effect or purple bar, whatever Indiegogo uses, that people want to see so much of an amount of this green bar filled up. They want to know that they're contributing to a campaign that's going to be successful and know that their contributions are actually going to mean something, as opposed to a campaign that's 5% funded that they won't feel as significant donating to it. And so even if you bring your total amount down that you want to reach, I've just done research and it says that almost 85 to 90% of campaigns that hit their goal actually get overfunded. So you can actually end up reaching the goal that you wanted to just by kind of compensating a little bit better.
In other words, it's keeping it quiet for just a little window of time. Exactly. Get your money from your family and friends who love you and who trust you blindly. And then, once you got it, press campaign, start publishing like crazy.
Cool. And Christina had something to say. Yes, go right ahead, Christina.
Yeah, I had a question. So we didn't do any of that, the pre-planning or the pre-commitments is what I'm hearing. We lowered the goal on our end. Now I'm wondering, what are the ramifications of how we ran the campaign, given that we tried to do things differently after the fact? So as far as, I guess, the perception goes now in the public and even in our existing pledges of people, family, and friends, have we lost some level of confidence even in our business and branding? So I'm concerned right now, but any inputs, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd like to share that actually. And And so you still have some time left. If you're considering relaunching, then I wouldn't expend any more social capital on this. And in fact, what I would even do, and this is your decision. I actually believe that you could probably do something with the money that you receive. But if you think that it would be better for you to actually cancel the campaign, return those funds, and say, we want to redo this, we want to do it right, guys. We just realized that there's certain things that we should have done differently, and we don't feel like we want to do this right now and take this at the moment. But we'd like to take you along the journey for us to prepare 3 to 6 months when we may launch. You know, I wouldn't feel bad at all about this because, you know, and this isn't a knock on you, Christine, but you know, because you didn't necessarily pre-plan, there's a lot of people who have no clue about you as it is, right? So I mean, you know, like if you pre-plan, you're going to meet a whole new audience that would never even known you did a campaign in the first place. So I wouldn't talk yourself out of relaunching because there's an abundance of people who care about what you do. You just have to reach them better the second time around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have confidence.
You could even use that as the basis of your story. I mean, transparency is the way to go, and say, you know what, we learned a lot of stuff on our first campaign, and I think you'll be happy with this one because, hey, now we address this issue, that issue. We hope you like it, or something of the sort. But you know, be yourself and authentic. People salute that, really.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Zach, so I'm sorry, we'll head back to you.
No worries.
Did you want to continue to see the demo of how that worked, or do you know? You want me to just show you the ending of that demo of the head talker?
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Cool. Let me just show you quickly. It's not good. This one obviously is not going to be a live one, so Chris and Nolan delete it immediately. But so here's the really cool part about this, and for my show today, I had over 110 people support my goal of only 50. So the cool thing about Head Talker, which none of the other crowd speaking does, if your goal is a minimum of 50, you get free reach of 300,000 because there's people who really want to support the Head Talker platform, and they immediately back your campaign to give you a potential reach through social media of 300,000. So you know you want to put a minimum of 50. And the great thing about this, and I'm not sure if the other crowd speaking platforms does this, but I believe the other platforms say the minimum amount of time you could do is only 39 days out. So if you create it today, you know you can't create it for only like 10 days or 5 days or 1 day. You have to do it for a minimum of 30 days. Head Talker allows you to choose any deadline you want. So if you just want to do a smaller campaign and you believe you could reach your goal in 2 days, then you just do a 2-day campaign, get your 50, and then bam, and then do it again and again and again. You could pick any amount, including, you could even make it launch in 2015. You know, April 2015, you could have 245 days to launch. So that's a cool functionality of Head Talker. Plus, the best part about this is it's absolutely free. These other campaigns for the premium features are charging people a certain amount of money to do the special features. What you see is what you get with Head Talker. You get it all for free. So you know you pick your number of supporters, you pick the time to launch, you type who you are, you type your email, and very important, you always put in your Twitter handle. And one thing that I've noticed just in my own Head Talker experience is your message is going to be broadcast by lots of different accounts. Always include your Twitter handle, you know, your Twitter handle in here, because it's going to notify you when all these 50+ people end up supporting you, and then you retweet it to get even more reach to your own to the thousands of people who will see it anyway. So always make sure you mention your own Twitter handle in your campaign message, because then you just retweet it and you know that it went out.
Yeah, another good thing to do is put a hashtag as well. I've noticed that a lot of people don't put hashtags, but it's so much more strategic. You know, if you're going to have a couple hundred people or 50 people, you know, all tweet something or share it, you know, throw in a hashtag that, you know, fits your target demographic.
So that hits all your, does that hit your Twitter and Facebook friends, or just Twitter, or how does that work?
Yeah, basically the way it works is like, say you started a campaign right now. If we all joined it and it ended tomorrow, we would all share your message at the same exact time.
Okay.
So here's a perfect example. This is a recent campaign that just started on Head Talker. So Pink Coin mainstream exposure.
We still have to fulfill their reach, but this is pretty cool. This is a cryptocurrency, a new one.
Yeah. So this is the completed campaign of someone else's. If I wanted to support them, which I always support every campaign, because that's the other piece of this that's awesome too. The Head Talker community, I just see all this talking on Twitter where, you know, you see people mention each other, hey, I just supported your campaign, can you support mine? And then they put out the link. And this community is just, everyone wants to support everyone, which is really cool. So I'll add my support via Twitter. As simple as that. With the click of a button, I've added my support. And now, bada bing, bada boom, the number went from 3 to 4 supporters. If I do it with my Tumblr account as well, add support, it just went to 5 supporters. So you see how, and the reach went from only 1,300 to 23,000 with just 2 clicks of my mouse.
Yes.
So the key is you want to get people with big social reach to back you on all these networks.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're doing a good cause, Zach. So like, if you wanted to do a Head Talker for whatever crowdfunding site you decide to go to,
yeah,
you know, it would be great to really target, you know, some famous people who believe in like environmental issues and helping out. If you could just get a few famous people or celebrities to join your, you know, Head Talker campaign, that's how you'll really get it, you know, big and, you know, potentially trending, you know.
Yeah.
If you throw a hashtag in there and a couple celebs all tweet it at the same time, you know, it could get trending. So
yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
That kind of stuff.
Absolutely, and actually, Diana, I know you have to go, so you could give a final shout out to everyone, and we'll continue the show. But I know you have to go, Diana.
Just as it's getting interesting. Anyway, it was awesome being around the table with everyone. I'm glad we all met. Let's stay in touch. For everyone out there listening, please feel free to contact me through Twitter. I'm always available 24/7 or almost. My handle is DFY Consulting. If not, I'm just about everywhere online. There's multiple ways of getting in touch. I'd love to hear from you, and just a chat, or you know, if you want my insight, my 2 cents. I do it every day, and I enjoy doing it too. So you know, long live crowdfunding, and good luck to all your campaigns. It was great speaking with you. Thanks, Manolis. You've been a doll.
Thanks, Diana. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Bye. Take care.
Bye now. Great. So we'll continue the show, and Zach, we're going to come back to you in a moment. But we do have a comment that I'd like to share that we got. This is from Mike Hayes. He has a startupsinaction.net. He also has crowdsuccess.tv, and Mike is a good friend of ours. He says, may I suggest using Reddit's Ask Me Anything sessions to reach a large and interested group quickly and easily and for free. Does anyone know about Reddit's Ask Me Anything? Because this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
I do.
Okay.
Basically, people go on Reddit. You know, famous people have done it. You know, Bill Gates, all types of different people, and they say, "Hi, I am," and then your name. So it'd be like, "Hi, I'm Chris Labonte, the co-founder of Head Talker. Ask me anything," and then people ask just anything, and then you have to answer it, and it's like it's a free-for-all. It's really cool, and like Reddit will verify like if you know the famous person's who they say they are and stuff, but you should definitely check it out. Like I've like learned so many things from just like people I've seen on there, you know, who like you go on there right now, Manolis, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this guy did an Ask Me Anything, you know. It's huge. It's awesome.
So I mean, like, can anyone use it, or is it only for famous people?
No, anyone can, but you have to be interesting, because people have to want to ask, like, you know, you have to come off like somewhat interesting, because people want to be like, you know, like they want to ask you questions, you know, like, so like, I think it's about making a good introduction who you are, you know.
Awesome.
But
Okay.
but no, that you can be anyone and do it. You might as well. But be prepared to answer any question.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it could be literally anything. So yeah, that's dangerous. So Zach, so that was the demo. What other questions did you have?
As far as updating the campaign, like I noticed, I mean, I guess you should be doing that. And how often should we be doing that? Like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week?
Well, you're sending out an email notification to them every time you update. So probably the more the better, but you don't want, at the same time, you don't want to come off, spammy or not important updates. So you do want to keep them in the loop because it keeps them engaged. It gets them to go get their friends. It keeps everybody in the loop. So updating your campaign is great.
Okay.
I would do it I'd probably do it at least once a week.
Once a week. Okay.
At least.
Cool. And actually, I remember now that you asked a question, how, and I don't think we answered it directly. It was, we gave you some tactics, but not an overall plan of how do you get that 30% of funding within the first week. That seems to be the magic number. Is you want to line up your pledges to get 30% of funding within the first week. There's a lot of ways to do it, and I'm just trying to, I'm trying to brainstorm because I haven't done it yet either, but I'm going to share my screen because I did develop, and I'm developing something called the 30-day to launch plan. I'd like to kind of show you guys what I have so far, so you can kind of tell me if you think it's interesting. For anyone who's watching, for anyone who's watching, when I'm finished with this, I'd be happy to share it. Please look at the Showcase app. You see a Contact Us Reality Crowd TV link. Once I'm done with this 30-day to launch plan that I'm about to show everyone, if you please contact us and submit a contact form, request the 30-day to launch plan. When it's finished, I will send it out to you guys. So I'll kind of show it to you right now just to kind of give you an indication of what I'm talking about. I might need to increase the view here. Is it hard to see, guys? Like, is the print too small?
No. Yeah.
It's a little bit small?
It's a little small, yeah.
Okay, let me try to increase this to, let's see, 125. Click OK. Is that better?
Yeah. Or you could zoom in on your computer.
Yeah, I'm a computer illiterate basically.
Control plus.
Control plus? Okay, let me try this. Oh, on. It's not working, but if you guys can see it, do you want me to increase it one more time?
Yeah, you could do that.
All right, let me try to do 135. Here we go, 135. So here, this is as good as it's going to be, okay? So, so the purpose is really what I think most people really need to. And by the way, I'm going to actually change this real time. This is going to be set up ahead talker. Sorry about that, guys. What you're trying to do here is early on in this amazing industry of the biggest risk to a crowdfunding campaign is people just not knowing what crowdfunding is, right? So what I've seen and what I've heard that a lot of people do who don't necessarily succeed in their campaigns, they will send them the direct link after they launch their campaign. They'll send it to their close friends and family and acquaintances without ever telling them that they were going to do a crowdfunding campaign in the first place. So they're springing this on them out of the blue. It's a link and you're requesting money from people. And a lot of people that I've heard of, they receive a reply back and say, is this spam? Did your account get hacked? What is this? So this is why this 30-day to launch plan I think is necessary, because one of the biggest things to do is you want to socialize your whole crowd before you ever launch a campaign. So there's a lot of different facets to this. So before you activate your social crowd, you want to identify the key resources in your campaign. This includes who is your real, your traditional network, your friends, your family, your company employees, your current customers, your current social footprint. You want to essentially take an inventory of everything as it stands right now and really identify who are the key contributors to the success of your campaign. You're going to want to set up a Crowdspeaking campaign at least 30 days in advance. You're going to want to look at your emails and your phone lists, and you're going to want to look at who's on there. You're going to want to segregate these lists into people that are, high likelihood of supporting you versus people who are just acquaintances. The people who are a high likelihood of supporting you, those will require a personalized communication. The ones who are the acquaintances who are a lower likelihood, you may want to do more of a mass email or a mass text or whatever the case may be. You're going to want to have your website set up. Preferably you would have been building your web presence to build the traffic that's going to the site well in advance, so that when you do finally launch your campaign, the website traffic would simply be redirected directly to your crowdfunding website. I don't really recommend having a button on your site. I just recommend do a straight up redirect for the first week, so that there's no confusion that this is what's happening. You need to donate. You got to set up your social media. You want to have a strategy for how you're going to use social 30 days before you ever launch. Templates of what you're going to send out. How you're actually going to mention people who might be influencers. How you're going to mention other head talkers to support your crowd speaking. It's really a big process. So you're also going to want to ensure that you get feedback. Each time you do a crowdfunding campaign profile, you actually have the preview of the campaign that you can send out to anyone who's going to support you in advance, so that they do understand that this is critical that they support you within that first week. Before I go into a little bit more detail, does anyone have any questions on what I just went over? Did it make sense?
Yeah, I was just going to say the website redirect is great. For example, like iPatch is one of our crowdfunding campaigns, and he made his website, ipatchcase.com, just redirect to his campaign, because it's so beneficial, especially when you're talking to somebody in real life. You're not going to want to be like, go to headfunder.com/campaign/this/this, or like Indiegogo/this/this/this, instead of just being like, hey, go to, domain.com, and then boom, they type it in, redirect it.
Yes.
It's great, especially if you're spreading like word of mouth in real life, it's a great way for them.
Exactly, because sometimes even your normal website may not have a name that's easily remembered, so you might want to create what is known as a vanity website. You just buy a domain, and it says like supportzach.com. Just go to supportzach.com, and it'll redirect you right to the campaign, or support. What was it called? The LifeStraw? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, LifeStraw.
Yeah, so support lifestraw.com. Something like that makes it really simple for people to remember, and then they just go home and say, what did he say? Oh yeah, support LifeStraw. Let me check that out.
All right, it's a good idea.
Another good thing you could do, Zach, is set up a website right now that just basically is a landing page that collects email addresses.
Oh, okay.
And if you want, you could contact me after this, and I could help point you in the right direction of like where to get, like how to get set up for that. Because a lot of campaign creators don't do that, and that's very, very powerful. If you have a full entire email list for the duration of your campaign, you can constantly send them emails, every like 5-6 days, be like, here's what's going on with the campaign, and you have a full like army of supporters, just at your fingertips every time you send an email.
Yeah.
A lot of campaigns that that aren't successful didn't really build that email list. Like if you could get 500 to 1,000 emails, that would be solid. And you could even go to like places, events, and just be like, hey, put your email on here, and just like it'll give them just say like, we have access to put you on our subscriber list or something, and you could just collect tons of emails, and then you have like a huge advantage right when you go into your campaign.
That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so now we're going to go into a little bit more detail on the different parts of this launch. So this isn't only social. Like in all honesty, I mean, I know most people cannot do what I do because I'm doing this full time, but I average about 4,000 minutes a month on the phone, and those calls are really the biggest thing that I attribute to building relationships. So, you know, you're not going to have all the time that I have to have 4,000 minutes a month, but what you want to do is you want to, the goal of making phone calls is to make the calls to the likely day one supporters. You're not going to make a call to an acquaintance. You're going to make a call to someone who's really a warm person, someone who wants to support you no matter what, and it's really to tell them, you know, we need your pledge in week one. So the action is create a script that is, you know, you're going to make it your own, but you know, that's what I'm working on, is creating a script. And the first call is happening 30 days prior to launch, and you're really making these people aware for the first time that you're going to run a crowdfunding campaign. And the key thing is, be prepared to explain what crowdfunding is. So not only should you guys know your product or service inside and out, you actually have to know what crowdfunding is inside and out, because so many people are going to be asking you, like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? I don't get it. You know, can you please explain to me what this is? And I'm including this link here, which is the video that we watched at the beginning of the program. But, you know, in a very simple manner, if someone says, what is crowdfunding? You know, you would say, well, you know, you'd probably start out to say, well, have you ever heard of Kickstarter, or have you ever heard of Indiegogo? Have you ever heard of Headfunder? If they say yes to those things, then you say, well, that's crowdfunding. And it's like, then many of them will be like, oh, okay, cool. So they'll know what you're trying to do if you tell them, you know, the platform name. But let's say someone responded, no, I don't know what either of those are. The way that I do it, and this is why you should watch this video over and over again, is I use the first like 15 seconds of what the young lady says. And basically what it is take the concept of passing around the basket at church, where a crowd of people contribute to an individual with a need. Take that concept, put it online, apply it to things other than charities, such as small businesses, music, television, small business and technology, and you have crowdfunding. And so that little line is my go-to line whenever I meet someone new, because the moment I link it to the 1,000-year-old tradition of religion, take the concept of passing around, you know, the thousands-year-old tradition, take the concept of passing around the basket at church, they suddenly understand what's going on. And so it's really important that you understand crowdfunding to the fullest, and you're able to clearly articulate what you're trying to do. Otherwise, people will, if you notice people's eyes glazing over, that's your cue that you didn't explain something well enough. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people still don't know what it is, you know, like from just like my daily interactions with, you know, strangers and stuff, a lot of them don't know what crowdfunding is yet. Like, it's still such a new industry.
100%. In fact, I always share this stat. You know, back in December of 2013, myself and Jessica Sun, the CEO of Reality Crowd TV, we went into a Starbucks with our GoPro camera, and we asked 8 people at random, have you ever heard of crowdfunding? Have you ever heard of Kickstarter? And 7 out of 8 people had never heard of either.
Wow.
So, you know, what's funny is Main Street America still doesn't know about crowdfunding, but crowdfunding is still growing at an amazingly rapid rate. So to me, the fact that it's growing so much and there's still the majority of America and the world that doesn't know about it, as you know, from what I understand, when I tell people what it is, immediately they get excited because they're like, you know, Manolis, like, I got declined by a bank, or I never knew someone wealthy enough to give me that head start. You're telling me that if I do the hard work, if I plan ahead of time, if I show my honest efforts, there's a chance that I could raise the money I need and live my dream and whatever that might be. And I say, yes, it's a possibility, but it's going to probably be the hardest thing you've ever done. And so, you know, that right there, the excitement that I'm seeing just by sharing it with people tells me that we're just seeing the beginning of crowdfunding. It's going to be a much bigger thing, you know, as the years progress.
Absolutely. If you look on Google Trends, you can see how much crowdfunding is being searched in the search engine, and it's on an upward climb like this. Like, it's not going down.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my venture capitalist friends might not like to hear this, but crowdfunding is a more searched term than venture capital right now.
Yeah, it passed it in 2012.
Yeah. So so basically the first call you make is to make sure you explain it and get your key contacts involved. The second call is the week of launch to kind of remind them again that, hey, we're doing this. And I'm not sure if I have this in here, but there's a third call that I have to develop kind of the wording in here for. But just imagine with me for a second if someone can execute this. You have a conference call line that has the potential for hundreds of people to be on the line. On this call, you as the project creator are essentially have done your 30-day to launch plan, and you've told everybody to be on this call on day one, and everyone on the call is going to witness you click the fundraise button. So right when you click the fundraise button, you have hundreds of people on the call, and you have emails that are pre-planned so that once the call is done, you then click the button to send the emails out to the live campaign, and then you tell everybody on the call, okay guys, check your emails, I just sent you the link and we're live. Please contribute, please share, let's manufacture this viral project right this second. That is what I'm going to build into this little 30-day to launch plan, because I don't think anyone's doing that, or they're not telling anyone that they're doing that. But if someone can orchestrate a call with, like, you know, a lot of people on it on day one, you basically can go viral on your own.
What service do you use, Manolis, to do a huge conference call like that?
I mean, I mean, right now for my own conference call purposes, I use freeconferencecall.com, but I don't think that it's set up to have that large of a call. So I'd imagine you'd have to just search for a conference call line, and they would end up, you'd have to pay for it. I'm not, you know, I don't have one off the top of my head, but to me, you know, if someone can execute that, or create a community that's a funding portal that can, the community of a funding portal, if they all just help each other within their social community to all do the same thing, you got an amazing, like, competitive advantage against anyone else. So those are the types of outside the box thinking, right? You don't want to leave your campaign to chance. You have to think to yourself, I'm willing to wait to launch my campaign until I'm 100% sure that I've done everything I needed to do to make it succeed. I mean, at some point you're going to have to take the risk, because even with all the planning, you just never know. It might just fall flat. But, you know, to me, I enjoy learning and kind of seeing what's possible, because you can make a success become a mega success if you do a lot of these things. Any other questions before I go to email?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So email, you're going to want email templates. You know, the purpose of the template is to, you know, set up, email people the Head Talker campaign. You're going to want to sign up at Headfunder. You're going to want to show people, you know, showcase early supporters with certain benefits. Maybe, you know, here's another interesting thing. I mean, you could think of ways to gamify the early supporters as well. You know, I don't have anything that I could specifically state at the moment, but another thing you could also do is use Microsoft Office or Google Calendar to set up calendar invites. You could create a little project management tollgate to say, here's the calendar invite, mark your calendars, this is day one for launch, and here's the conference call information, and, you know, here's another calendar invite with what I'd like you to share on day 2, another one I'd like you to share on day 3 and day 4. Like, there's so many ways that you can make it easy for supporters to support you. That's really what you're trying to do with this whole pre-planning. Make it easy so that there's no question as to what your supporters need to do for you every single day. So you got that. The social networking. You know, you're a combination of broadcasting and direct engagement. The one area that I'm personally light on is PR. I mean, I have access to a database of bloggers and journalists, but it's funny. I'm better at sharing other people's stories than sharing my own. So I think I'm going to have to hire a PR person, because when it's my own project, I just get too personal, and it's not about that. So, yeah, PR is tricky. I'm going to try to figure out how to do that. And then, of course, we talked about the live events. If you could have a live event in your first week of launch, highly recommended. And you know, reciprocity. Maybe if you know you're going to be on a funding portal, you should go ahead and donate $1 every single day to a random campaign and just say, hey guys, you know, I like what you're doing. Just so you know, I'm going to be launching my campaign soon. So spread the goodwill, and maybe you're enlisting 30 other, or however many you're willing to spend $1 on, to be part of your crowd because you're reciprocating things. And then finally, of course, you have this little calendar here. So this is a very rudimentary plan. I've already started creating the steps inside. This is why you see A1, A2, A3. I have like separate, templates that I'm going in detail on each step. But I think once this is done, you know, campaigners will be able to pick and choose what they really have time to do and what they don't. But at least they'll know if they had the opportunity to do every single thing they wanted, they would at least have some sort of templates in which to do that and find a team to help them do it. So I hope that was beneficial, guys.
Very much so. Very much so.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
so
I think the backing each other really works. You know, just from what we've seen in our platform, the people are like, so a campaign creator will back a campaign creator, and then that campaign creator will come back that creator, you know, and then they start promoting each other. You know, it's all about working together. You know, we're trying to accomplish more in Headfunder, like Head Talker. We got them working together really good. You know, but we're trying to do that with the crowdfunding as well. So I think if, you know, all the campaign creators work together, you know, they can really make some noise and make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, crowdfunding is all about collaboration, and so if, you know, the whole thing about crowdfunding is give more than you get, and the magical thing about giving more than you get is that usually you get more than you give. It's kind of funny how that works, you know. It always comes back, and that's just, you know, just something that I've noticed. So our friend Max has been waiting patiently. So Max, thank you for your patience, and I'm gonna actually play your video if that's cool.
Yeah, of course.
And then we'll start. We'll see what what the Bash application is all about. So
all right.
Give me one moment here. Okay. Sorry for the psychedelic thing we had there. All right, so your campaign is on Head Talker, and I'm just going to let the video speak for itself.
All right.
Headfunder.
Headfunder, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Bash is a network for people who love to celebrate anything and everything. It's a party hosting and searching application.
Bash is designed to bring people together. We want our users to meet new friends and make memories.
Bash was inspired by the nightlife here in Santa Monica. A friend and I had gone to a local club that had a house party theme, and he said, I really enjoyed this club. I wish that we could find more parties like this. And I said, I think that we can make that happen.
Matt came to me with the idea a few weeks after he came up with the concept. He showed me a few screenshots of the app, and I was sold. It looked like something that I would use to play with friends.
When Sebastian and I teamed up, things really began to come together. We started our social media campaign, really hit it hard, and then started thinking about crowdfunding this application.
We decided to crowdfund Bash because we truly believe people will love using this application. Crowdfunding is a way to show us and other users who really want this application to life.
Creating a bash is simple. You can either set a date for a bash that you want to have, or use bash at a party that you're already having. You enter basic information like the theme, age restrictions of people attending, the number of people attending, and anything that you might want potential guests to bring. And the host can do all of this on the application.
So if you're looking for a bash to go to, you're a crafter. It's very easy to crash. Just look for a party that looks interesting to you. Double tap and bring up info on the bash, and it's in a craft request. yes, it was like tagging their back profile is the request.
You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at the Bash application.
Bash will be released before the end of 2014. We already have developers working to make it happen. Until then, you can go to bashapplication.com and sign up with your email to receive news and updates about the application.
We hope to see you at the party.
Very cool. I love this, man. I wanted to just get up and dance the whole damn time.
Yeah, the song is great.
No, that was great. And yeah, just so wow. So what was your guys' inspiration to create the Bash application?
Yeah, so I had a friend who actually attended Pepperdine University last semester, and while he was here, we would hang out a lot. We would go out together a lot, and we went to a place in Santa Monica that had this kind of like a house party theme. I described it as like George Clooney's like Fiji bungalow getaway kind of place. It was a really cool environment, and he left, and he says, you know, I don't really know a lot of people around here. I like this kind of like house atmosphere. I mean, it'd be cool to meet some people and go to like house parties. And I was like, you know, I just moved into the area. I didn't know a lot of people either. And I said the same thing, and I was like, well, you know, like we can make that happen. Let's try to put that on an application, and here we are right now trying to make it work.
I mean, it is a much needed application. I mean, you know, what I'm starting to see in social technologies is, because the trend has been, you know, everyone's on their phone, everyone's on the internet, everyone's trying to do social. Now the trend is, because everyone's there, start them out there, but get them in front of people, get them out, get them to actually get out of their computer and actually go meet people in person. So I think, you know, is there a name for that movement that you guys are a part of?
I'm not sure if there's a name for it, but I mean, that's exactly it. I've acknowledged the same thing, you know, and that's kind of where our target demographic is. You know, like the younger kids are constantly on their phones, and I mean, there's even like networks like Tinder. You know, they're attempting to bridge these gaps, like dating and anonymous pairing and things, just trying to get people back out into the real world. And the group of people that are doing these kinds of things realize that, okay, if you're going to spend this much time on your phone doing this and interacting, let's kind of put you back into real life, and let's get you interacting with people who love to do the same thing, using social media as a means to make new friends.
Absolutely. So I mean, in a way, you're teaching people what most people don't know social media is for. You're teaching them engagement. You know, most people just broadcast, but social media is for engagement. So it's great that you're engaging them in a way that they can meet people in person. Let me pull up your campaign, and you can just tell us more about kind of where you are. I know you just launched on Headfunder, just recently, right?
Correct.
Cool. So tell us more about where you are. So your goal, what are you going to do with your $2,000 goal?
Okay, so that's designed to pay for early development for a beta product. We're going to buy a pre-developed source code. It's actually a copycat application of another application that we could use kind of the components of to make Bash. And the host of this particular application has kind of opened up that source code for purchase. Whoever wants to use that and manipulate it from there can do so. So half of the funds that we raise is going to go towards purchasing that, and then basically paying our developer to make the beta version.
Very cool. So this is great. So Headfunder, then this is the actual campaign, and you got your whole profile here. And tell us.
These are some.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Max. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, as you're scrolling down, those are just screenshots of our application. You know, kind of like the basic framework and what we hope it'll turn out like to some extent, and then all of the prizes and rewards that we offer for our contributors.
And this is interesting because you do have an application. So what type of, you know, like a lot of people struggle with coming up with innovative ways to offer rewards for, you know, a mobile app. Like what are some of these rewards? Can you kind of walk us through it?
Yeah, so we decided, especially on like the lower end to start where we feel like most of our contributors and what they would want. And we've kind of considered our age demographic and what people kind of want. If they're contributing to a mobile application, and we kind of felt like we would give them something back in that sense. So we focused on giving back a lot over our social media. So you see at like $3, you get a Twitter shout out. It's not much, but you know, I'm going back to the kids here and like a younger demographic. Everyone loves accumulating more followers. Everyone loves that big follower base. And so getting shout outs on Twitter and Instagram is kind of what people want now, and that's why it's at $3. You know, you $5, you get stepped up a little bit. We actually feature one of your photos of you and your friends on any network that you tag us in, whether that be Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whatever that may be. If you hashtag Bash application, we're going to feature that image. $10 when you start getting into some physical rewards, you get a sticker. It's not much, but we figure, you know, people can slap on the back of their laptops. We like our logo. You can do that. And then, you know, $25, you get a T-shirt with a cool design on it, our logo. And then just from there, and we get back into social media at, let's see, $50. You get a thank you on our website. You get a mention with whatever handle you like, your Instagram handle or your Twitter handle, whatever that may be. And then at $100, you actually get a full write-up on our blog as a contributor.
Wow, and then this level, the 2000, this looks interesting. Tell us about this one.
Okay, so that's really cool. That was an idea that we had just to kind of promote the meaning of the application, and what that is a $2,000 reward for anyone in the Los Angeles area, and I think we should probably specify that, you know, as far as travel expenses go, that whoever wants to donate that amount, we'll actually come to you and we'll find a venue. And we'll rent out that venue and set up a social media, and we'll throw an event in your honor because you contributed that much to the campaign. And you know, it would be a hosted event. We would film the event. We'd make a promotional video around it. It would be just basically a representation of what the Bash application is capable of.
Very cool. I really like this. I think that is, you know, that's how a lot of people are getting very creative. Is they're giving people experiences as the rewards, and you know, throwing a bash in someone's honor. I mean, that's pretty cool. You know, so yeah. I think it's great. So from your perspective, did you come into this hangout with any specific questions that you had for the panel here?
Well, I mean, I've been working with Chris, and he's been helping me out a lot, and their friend Justin Estrada has been working with them. But, I mean, just in terms of people who have completed full campaigns, I know it can get, I mean, even like discouraging it sometimes. You don't see the funds that you think that you should get. How much time, I mean, goes into this, like, every day, that kind of thing. Like, and at the end of it, if you don't reach your goal, you know, the means to even make like a new campaign. Should you attempt to make a new campaign if you don't meet the goal completely? If you just barely make it, should you keep crowdfunding? Should you use multiple websites?
Very interesting question. And actually, let me actually answer that with even going before crowdfunding. What I actually would recommend for people who haven't started a campaign yet and they have an idea. If the person who has an idea has not even validated the fact that there's any kind of demand for what they want to bring into the world, like if this is before crowdfunding, if you have an idea, you have to validate that there is a customer market who would even want what you have. You know, this is just by surveys. This is by going to people and saying, hey, you know, if I had an application that told you where all the hottest parties are in the world, you know, would you want to use it, and would you crash just a random party? And you know, if people are saying yes, I would, I think that'd be awesome. And you're doing that to the tune of like 20 to 50 people, and they're all like, the majority is positive. Then you want to do that before you ever launch a campaign, because you know that there's validation in a customer for it. So you know, did you guys do that with your Bash application?
Yeah, I mean, as we've been talking about it and explaining it, you know, closely at first to friends and family, I mean, they're interested, and we actually have another video where we demonstrated the functionality of the event, or having a Bash event, and that went over very well. People saw how it worked. People saw that you could actually bridge that gap. I mean, you're crashing the party, but you bridge the gap on the application before. You request to go you and the host set up a conversation. You get to know each other beforehand. So when you do arrive and you do come to the event, that's already broken because of social media, and then from there you're just celebrating together. You're meeting new friends. You already have a new friend that you've made in social media who you're attending to a real life event.
Absolutely, and I only want to reinforce that point because you know, a lot of people use crowdfunding for customer validation as well. So I'm not saying it can't be used for that. In fact, it is used for that the majority of the times. But there's also like there's a segment of people who might have a great idea in their own minds. They don't tell anyone else about it, and they don't ever validate it, and then they go ahead and they hire someone who says that they could raise them all this money, right? Like what I'm trying to get across is, you know, you got to be careful in this new industry. Crowdfunding is such a buzzword that if you don't do your own research on, you know, the viability of your own idea, customer validation, first validate if anyone would ever buy or use whatever you're trying to crowdfund. You always should do that. Number two, just something that I think is very important is, if somebody is not asking you any questions about your crowdfunding project and you're considering them to you know, do some level of management, social, or whatever the case may be, to me that's a red flag when no one asks you questions about your business and just promises you that they can do this, this, and that. Like, I personally got screwed that way too. I lost a lot of money on a social media guy for my own accounts because he was telling me everything I wanted to hear, wasn't telling me anything about my business, and I was so naive on social media that I just believed that he could do whatever I paid him to do. And next thing you know, I'm out like, you know, a few $1,000s. So this is why I'm trying to get across to the viewers here. You can delegate authority, but you can never delegate responsibility, and that's really important to know. So I'm sorry I went off on this little tangent, but I don't want to see people hurt in this industry, because there are certain people who will tell you what you want to hear just to make a buck. If someone is not asking you questions about your company, or if they're asking you questions but they're not intelligent and they don't get it, then just run away for the hills as quick as you can. But I'm sorry. So to go back to your question, Max, did you say you kind of asked me, or you asked us, like, when do you know when to quit? Is that kind of what you said?
Not necessarily, but in the case of the other campaign not meeting their goals, I mean, if you don't necessarily meet the goals that you want, is it okay to go forward after that and try again? Like, say we met like 90% of our goal, 85%, but we needed to go again. We needed like another round of crowdfunding on maybe the same network. Is it okay to go again, to crowdfund again with more momentum?
Yeah, I would say it is. In fact, I had a guy on my show, Jeff Hayes from Jeff Hayes Films. He did I think he did around 5 consecutive campaigns that raised $1.5 million on Indiegogo. He's a film producer, and 3 of the 5 were for the same film. It was just different stages of the film, and so he came back to crowdfund different portions of his actual film. So, you know, in other words, people have done that. They've had multiple campaigns for the same project. So, you know, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. The key piece is just being able to communicate why you're going back to do that. You have to be able to, like, convince people that, okay, well, I understand why they're offering new rewards now. There's new needs. I would support them again. So it's kind of a communications issue a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone else want to chime in on that?
Well, I have a question about that one.
Sure.
Am I on? Oh, so there was a project. I couldn't see if I was on. There was a project that was almost at the point where it was reaching its goal, and then it had to get cut. But we're trying to see if there's a way to start it up again, and I'm trying to see how to advise on that topic, because it's a good project and it was set up really nicely in its initial generation. So I'm not sure how to, or what to suggest, or how to sort of make it fresh, because a lot of people are on board with the project and still are, but it's not a Kickstarter anymore.
So you're saying to relaunch a project that the project creator decided to cut off early because he thought he couldn't raise the money? Is that what you mean?
Well, for whatever reasons, the project had to be cut.
Okay. Well, is the person who started it going to restart it again, or is this a whole new team who are going to take it over and the guy won't be involved?
I'm not sure. It's in discussion now.
Okay.
You know, we have to discuss.
Okay. Well, Christine and I obviously know what project we're talking about because we kind of had a little bit. There was a project that was a really good project, but yeah. But so really the way that it would work is, Christine, whoever's going to take the lead in the future needs to talk with the original project creator and get all the information of the backers who backed the first time, because the greatest asset of a relaunch is the backers who backed the first time. You know, if they can get all the, you know, they all got their money back from Kickstarter, so there was no harm done. If they donated once, they would probably donate again. So the advice that I would give them is reach back out, make sure you identify all the people who backed it in the first place, and then execute a 30-day launch strategy and clearly articulate to those initial backers that they must contribute and help within the first week.
Okay, within the first week. I see.
Does that make sense?
Even though it's going to run for 30 days, but to make sure that happens within the first week.
It has to be in the first week because of a number of reasons. That usually will trigger, or the chances for it to trigger something going on the front page of one of these websites is higher if you reach a larger amount of money, like in the front end. Additionally, what happens as well is because public relations firms get inundated with pitches and crowdfunding, they only want to write about a winner. If they see a campaign with low amounts of money raised, it's harder for them to write an article about you. But if you show a blogger or a journalist that you raised this nice chunk of change up front, they want to tell that story and keep the momentum going. It works backwards, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish Ariana Huffington would write about anyone for anything, but unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. But yeah, I mean, you want to show them the progress in order for them to write about you.
How do you get some of these major blogs to write about you? Like, I always see, like, the most recent thing I saw was that water balloon thing that, like, you can make, like, 100 water balloons in 30 seconds. That was, like, the most recent crowdfunding campaign I saw. How do they get, like, written up like that?
Chris, would you guys would anyone else like to comment on that, or?
Yeah, I think, like, it depends on definitely a few different things. Some of it is just luck. A lot of it is timing. You know, you have to catch the press when they don't have much to talk about and they're looking for something. Another good way is, you know, to have press connections. Like, it's very difficult. Like even from what I've seen, like, it's like really hit or miss. I mean, if you know someone, you have a lot better of a chance to get press. Another good way is to, like, find specific people, specific writers who have wrote about similar topics. Instead of, like, hitting up the whole blog, you know, the contact form, because who knows who that goes to. Find, like, a writer that, you know, wrote about something very, very similar, you know, because chances are they'll want to write about what you're doing. That would probably be my advice, and, you know, try to get as much funds in as possible, like, fast as possible, and then send it to them. You know, you don't want to send your new crowdfunding campaign, you know, that has, you know, $1 or $0 because, you know, you haven't sent it out to the backers first, because the press may take a look at that and be like, oh, wow, this hasn't got funded, you know, we're not going to talk about this next. And then if you email them again, even if your project's doing great, chances are they're not going to look at it a second time, you know.
Okay.
So it's all about timing and being strategic and finding the right people and planning it out, you know.
All right, cool.
Yep,
but I'm not even that great at press. That's just from, like, what I've learned, you know, in my short period of time of being an entrepreneur. Like, we have gotten some press, but it is difficult. But hopefully, you know, my mistakes and stuff will point you in the right direction.
No, that's perfect. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
The one thing I could point to as well, like, again, I'm not good at this, but you know, and what's funny is I should be, because I have a database of journalists and bloggers. So You know, Zach, if you have 5 keywords, email me after the show. I'll just spit out a few journalists and bloggers that includes their email, their phone number, and how much their circulation is. So I'll give you the people to contact, but how to pitch them is really the hardest part about this. So here's something that my friend Eli Regalato from the Mad Hatter Agency did. He is out of Denver, and he posted this in a LinkedIn group. He said, use this format when pitching the media. So basically, it's very simple. My company, Reality Crowd TV, is developing a reality TV show about crowdfunding to help individuals who need to learn how to crowdfund have better success through video and through hands-on help. So like this little template, I just basically filled it out, you know, based on what I'm trying to do, right? Mm-hmm. So it's you want to be very concise, and it, you know, I'll even send you this. Send me an email and I'll send you this exact document. Okay. But you want to basically say who you are, what are you offering, who is your target audience, what problem are you solving for the target audience, and why are you different than anyone else trying to solve the same problem? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
That's exactly just like a 5-step bam, 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 bam. And because a lot of people write like 10 paragraphs in an email, that they're going to delete that immediately.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're like clear and concise and you follow up, you should be able to get like a better chance of success. So, you know, the bottom line is it actually takes a lot of work. Like PR, I think, is really, it's really something where you have to build relationships over a long period of time. You might start out, you know, first tweeting them, then you have their email, so you'll email them, and then you might follow up with a call. So it might take you 3 weeks to develop someone who you actually will want to write about you, because you know first you hit them on social, then you hit them on email, and finally you call them up, because bottom line is they still need that they still want the multiple channels of communication.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, that's what we've developed like a database of like probably 1,000 different journalists in like the LA area and like California and like throughout the country who would like our project. But yeah, like we were gonna send an email, then like follow up with a tweet, and then like maybe another email like a week later. But I mean, the phone call is so lost now. But like I feel like people feel threatened by phone calls now. But you know, it's weird. But I definitely don't mind calling. But do you think calling? Because like seriously, like I call like my musicians. I'll call like record industry companies or like even like bloggers. They feel like almost like, whoa, this guy called me. Like, whoa, you know. So is that a bad avenue to chase, like a phone call, or?
No, if you feel the most comfortable in a phone call and you could clearly articulate exactly what you're doing, you know, like kind of like, well, here's the thing. I mean, and this is coming from a guy who's single right now, but kind of like, you know, you ask the question like, should I wait to call her? You know, should you know this and that? Like, when's the right time to do it? Like, in my opinion, do what the heck you feel is right, and just be authentic and be who you are, and you know. But then again, I'm single right now, so don't take that advice from me. So let me just try to think here. We got it's 3 o'clock. We actually have a lot more time. Technically, we can go all the way until 2 hours from now, but I'm guessing you guys are getting tired. If you have more questions, though, I would be happy to answer. But we have the actual hangout will only allow us to go 4 hours long, and we're 2 hours and 10 minutes into it. So, any other questions, Christine? I know you had a list.
I have a list, but I don't want to bug everybody. I do want to mention about the PR though, that there's a formula, but that would take us past the 2 hours, right? So you can email me and I'll give you a few pointers. I'm happy to do it. Okay. Yeah, that's the part I'm good at. The crowdfunding, no, but the PR.
And Christine, actually, just let me tell you, we have had 10 viewers outside of us who stayed on this whole time. So if you guys are willing to go more, so am I. Apparently, this is good stuff because we've had 10 people stay on for over 2 hours. So viewers, thank you so much, by the way. So if you guys want to keep going, I'm game to keep going. So Christine, tell us what you were thinking. Like, tell us some tips on PR.
So, okay, so in terms of PR, a lot of times you'll see people are a little bit awkward if they either start with a script and it's a really long script, they end up sounding awkward, and then the person on the other side doesn't know what to do. There was a time that I cold called Tina Fey. Wow, that was a mistake. Anyway, she's a lovely person, but you don't cold call Tina Fey, all right? But I can cold call a couple of people here from the neighborhood who I know are related to press, who I know are related to journalism, other bloggers, that sort of thing. And you start getting tags out about yourself on your own social media, and you tag other sources of media onto that so that they can start seeing you and you become visible on their planet, right? And then from there, they might actually come and recruit you to be on their show or to talk to them or that sort of thing. So that might be one way to do it. Another thing is to really just physically get outside the house and get away from your project and go and negotiate. Don't talk about that project if somebody comes up to you and wants to talk to you about it. So you're just having a natural conversation, and it becomes an organic discussion. And from there, you happen upon somebody who knows somebody else, and then you build your network from that. That's how in 1 year I got 9,000 fans and viewers. That's insane. Like, to me, that seems insane. It happened.
That's great, Christine. And actually, you raise a good point. I mean, I'd imagine for local journalists and bloggers, it might actually be good to just go right to their newspaper station. Like if they're within a half-hour radius, just kind of go directly up to them and say, "Hey guys, I want to introduce you to me. I'm not just cold calling you. I'm showing you who I am. This is what our project's about." I would imagine going into their place of establishment, they might even take you in for an interview right away, because essentially, you come in with everything they need. You have your media kit, you have it printed out, you just introduce yourself, you give them the bio, you give them everything they need. They might even actually have an interview with you right then and there if you make their job easy to interview you. So that's an interesting thought as well. Cool. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
For all of you on the show, what is something that you want to see in a crowdfunding platform?
Oh.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
I might say, I don't know, the capability to incorporate like live events. Like I was really kind of curious by the auction event that the previous campaign talked about. How being able to promote like a live head funding campaign, offering your rewards on like a live stage and offering and in return getting digital like contributions. Maybe setting up like a head funder, something like I'm just going off the top of my head here. What are those? The TED Talks. But instead, pitching your head funder idea and allowing people to contribute in the audience and having a reward system, readily available there.
Great idea.
Cool. Christine, I think you're on mute at the moment.
Yeah, sorry about that. I would love to see the 30-day pre-plan that you just came up with, Manolis. That's something that we did not have available to us. There's a lot of good golden nuggets in there, and you have a pre-planning a pre-planning kind of tab and a checklist for people to go through if it's not already there. I had somebody else do the campaign for me, but I would love to request that plan from you if you're open.
Sure. Yeah. Please send me an email. I'll definitely just I'll send that to you right after the show.
Thank you.
Maybe I would suggest maybe two things. One would be if there's a workshop on crowdfunding that's available right in your neighborhood. Like for me, I had one at a few miles down, and it was helpful for me to understand what a crowdfunding was, and that sort of thing, because we didn't have that before. So if there was something like that, like say local leaders, crowdfunding discussion, they already was having this discussion, and have that on the page. The other thing I would suggest is kind of team up feature. So for example, Christine has this environmental project. Maybe there's somebody else who also has a similar, environmental project. We could team up instead of being apart and working apart and trying to, pool the resources, pool their network, pool their funds together, and just work together. If there's a collaborative thing like that, that would be a lot.
Kind of like so you're saying, Christine, almost like a crowdfunding networking site that that brings kind of like-minded co-founders together, essentially, right?
Are you saying reality crowd TV? Kind of, sort of, but yeah.
No. Actually, well, what's funny is there are websites out there that you can go to a website f6s.com. That's kind of like an early stage startup, like a place where early stage startups go. By the way, Chris and Nolan, if you guys are looking for projects, that'd be great business development for you guys. f6s.com. You guys would also might want to look at Co-Founders Lab. They were just bought out by Rock the Post. That's where you can post yourself and look for more co-founders. You can go to founderdating.com, which is dating other founders, but like not physically dating, but like you're dating them to see if you want them to be your co-founder or not. So just really look at the ecosystems. If you're looking for a partner in a business, there's places you can go to, and of course there's AngelList as well. AngelList.com. That's where really a lot of companies list to get funding from venture capitalists. But what I'm noticing is, like, as soon as you follow each other on AngelList, you have direct connection with whoever you connected with, and that could be a great networking opportunity as well. So things like that. But actually, what you're saying, Chris, is actually really good. You're talking about people who may not necessarily want to start a company together, but they have a similar nonprofit passion, and they might want to just, they might want to just join up and say, I'm willing to volunteer my time to your project, like a volunteer type association.
But if that was available on, let's say, HeadFunder, let's say I want to start a crowdfunder, I go to HeadFunder and I start my crowdfunding initiative, right? And there's another person who's coaching also wants to do a crowdfunder. Instead of working separately, we could pool our resources and have a joint crowdfunding campaign, and that way we're not each going 100% the effort. We can split that effort and that time and that energy between us and be able to be possibly more productive because we have double the network and half the work for each of us. And each one of us obviously would have our own specialization. One person might be more technologically savvy, another one might have stronger connections. When I say stronger, I mean older, more established in the neighborhood, and that sort of thing. And that's important to be able to see. Diana was talking about transparency at the beginning of the show, and I think that's a good way to sort of use transparency to make a better crowdfunder.
So you're saying that maybe two different projects do one crowdfunding campaign and they split the profit, or they split the funding. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Ultimately, if it's something that they could end up starting the business or an initiative with together, then that would be great. But ideally, to actually split the responsibility and then the cost. So let's say I was saying before, I need a crowdfunder for $1,000. If I was working with somebody and that person's cost was the same, etc., we would do a crowdfunder for 12 and try to have a budget justified and outlined, have everything outlined so that the transparency is there for the community. But the community would also see that we're working together. There wouldn't be a decision for them to choose my crowdfunder or the other crowdfunder with their identity. You see what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, I like that idea. Yeah.
With HeadFunder, we actually have a cool feature where you can actually direct message the users on our platform. So if you did see a campaign or a campaign creator that was doing a campaign that you liked and you thought they could help benefit your campaign, you could actually direct message them, exchange emails, and go from there to actually network and see if you guys could do something amazing.
So you have something like that set up basically.
Yeah, but I think we could definitely, keep improving. Like our final goal with HeadFunder is to make it, almost a social network at the same time, because crowdfunding is lacking a social connection on all these sites. We want to bring people together. Have people collaborate. Have people have groups and message each other, make friends, follow each other. Interact. And we want to make crowdfunding social as possible. We are rolling out a ton of new features over the next couple of weeks to really start making it a lot more social than any other, crowdfunding platform out there. That's our final goal for Headfunder, is to make it, a social network as well as a crowdfunding platform at the same time.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, that was a great question, Chris, because, yeah, the one thing that I notice is, funding portals have to be able to provide some sort of service almost in every vertical, but they can't do it themselves, right? So, I mean, like, a funding portal right now, the ones that are just starting out, a lot of them only really want to focus on the funding, but they face the big hurdle of educating their individual crowdfunders on how to crowdfund, but they also have to run their other business. So, what you said, Christine, about that 30-day to launch strategy, I mean, I've spoken to other funding portals too, and they said that they have a need for that level of detail, that level of service, and they just can't afford to like do everything for everyone, right? So, I mean, that's part of who I'm trying to reach. Is I'm trying to make my education free for the crowdfunders, and really have the portals be the ones to really provide that service. So, I mean, the crowdfunders have enough costs running the campaign. The portals would alleviate their pain if they had a robust education platform. So, I mean, I think that's where the future is heading. Personally, is the platforms are going to provide the robust service, and the crowdfunders will then will need to follow the instructions to a T. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Zach, what would you want to see?
I'm still pretty new to the whole crowdfunding thing, so maybe just like, because I've been doing a lot of research on like what's been successful and what hasn't been, so maybe just like some tips on like how to run a successful crowdfunding platform or a program. I don't know. I guess that'd be my biggest thing, because I spent like hours and hours and hours of researching different campaigns. So I don't know. I think maybe just some links to like successful campaigns that have worked and some that haven't worked, and maybe just some notes on like why they have and haven't worked.
Absolutely.
Like maybe like crowdfunding 101.
Crowdfunding, what not to do.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is you're on the show now, so it means you're taking the preparation, steps, you're getting into the crowdfunding network before your launch,
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, this has been such a huge help, like a lot of help. A lot of what I thought has been validated, so which is awesome.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you guys all enjoyed it. I guess it is kind of time for us to say goodbye. So I'm gonna give everyone kind of a last word on your end. So we'll start with Max. Last word for you, Max.
I just love everyone coming together and kind of trying to understand this new industry better. Chris has been just the biggest help running this whole campaign on Headfunder with us. Good luck to everyone in the future with their campaigns, and yeah, let's keep it going, make it happen.
Awesome. Cool. Christine, your last words? Salvutis?
Oh, well, just thank you for putting everything together, and I hope to keep in touch with a few of you guys, Chris and Noel, and I'm definitely contacting you guys.
Cool. And Christine, the other Christine?
Yeah, right here. This was absolutely very, very informative. Actually had relied a lot on Nick to get this campaign up and running, and I'm a lot more knowledgeable now with the process. So everybody's inputs were just so right on. And I think this platform serves us all well and the community. So I wish you all the luck too, Manolis, with expanding your reach, because this is so needed. We all need to know exactly everybody's story and experiences, and I'm very grateful to everybody's inputs. And hopefully we'll be connecting again hereafter. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, thank you, Christine. Nolan and Chris.
Manolis, thanks again for having us on here. I think this is the fourth time we've been on a show with you, and it's always a blast. We enjoy helping out, meeting new people, and working together to make the world a better place.
Cool. And Chris?
Thank you for having me on, Manolis. Big fan of Reality Crowd TV. For anyone watching, make sure to check out Headfunder, Head Talker. It was great talking to you all on the show, and I hope to talk to you all in the future. And thank you once again, Manolis.
Welcome. Thank you guys as always. And Zach?
I just want to thank you guys as well. It was great just to hear everybody's opinions and thoughts, and just get some really good tips on what to do. And yeah, it's cut a lot of corners today, a lot of the workout, which is awesome. So I appreciate it, and whoever's watching, I appreciate you guys watching, and thanks, Manolis, for inviting me. I really appreciate it. So good luck with everything, you guys.
Thank you, guys. Well, everyone, again, the viewers, you guys are marathoners, just like everyone on this show. We still have a large amount of viewers who stayed on. Without the viewers, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do at Reality Crowd TV. So thank you once again for joining us. And until next time, dream it, believe it, achieve it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.